Hey there, Trekkers and Trekkies. So, looking at more of, we're back to technically Art Asylum, like I had talked about in the previous video. They started doing Star Trek figures in 2002 with the Star Trek Nemesis line. Shortly thereafter, it was actually at the very tail end of 2002, start 2003, they started putting out the Star Trek Enterprise figures. Unfortunately, I have lost most of the crew figures that I had from 2003. Because I know I had Archer, I know I had Malcolm Reed, I had DePaul. The reason I know I had Archer and Reed was that I've still got the play bases that I got those figures with, which we will look at in a future video, so make sure and come back to check that out. Unfortunately, I'll have to put like Captain Kirk in the chair because I don't have Captain Archer. Anyways, so yeah, I know I also had oh man, I'm gonna go blank on his name. Mayweather, the helmsman Travis Mayweather, which they were supposed to make a base for of the helm. They never did. There is a 3D file that somebody has made online, and I do intend to eventually try and get it for a couple of reasons. One, I need to make a copy of the chair because I've lost the chair for the weapons station. But that's a future story. Come back and catch that one in a few weeks. So, we are going to start off with the villains, basically. So in wave 1, they made... they did 2 waves of figures for Star Trek Enterprise. Wave 1 had the crew, and it had 2 villains, essentially. Wave 2 aliens. Let's say that. Crew, 2 aliens. Wave 2 was also... it was the crew wearing their space suits, which I do have a few of those. And so come back to see those in a little bit. We're actually going to be unboxing some of those. And it was also 2 aliens with that. I do have one of them. I don't have the Nausicaan. So if somebody wants to send me the Nausicaan, feel free. But we will end this video with actually unboxing Shran here. We're going to start with the first 2. Which is right here. This is Clang. I think it was Clang, the Klingon. Now this was played by Tommy Tiny Lister. He had been a wrestler back in the day, and then he became an actor, was in a ton of different movies. If anybody's like me and is a fan of the Batman films, he was in The Dark Knight, if you recall that scene where the Joker has set up the whole thing with the 2 boats that have the bombs on them, and one of them has all of the prisoners on it, and the real big dude comes up and takes the trigger away from the guard and throws it out the window. That's Tommy Tiny Lister in that scene. He was never a profound actor. You know, he couldn't do Shakespeare necessarily, but if you needed a dude who was like, I wonder, I've got a thing open on him. Does it say how tall he was? Because the dude was ridiculously tall. I want to say he was probably close to 7 foot tall. He did 6.5. Man, I really thought he was taller than that. 6.5 feet tall. He died in 2020. Don't know if that was COVID related or not. December 10th, 2020. Anyways, so yeah, this is his one character that he played in Star Trek. They wanted a big Klingon for their very first episode, and I like most of the things about this figure. The sculpt, freaking awesome. Face sculpt is fantastic. Only thing I don't like is the action hair. because if you were to just take and put this on your shelf, just standing there next to the other figures, people would be like, "Why is the wind blowing only on him?" Um, I don't know why they did action hair for him and not just have it laid back and relaxed like it looks like through most of the episode. Because the thing is his character we meet literally at the very beginning of the episode. His little ship crashes on Earth. Hopefully, you've seen the first episode of Enterprise at this point. So, for everybody who likes to know, this figure actually comes in at, it actually looks like just the tiniest bit over 8 inches. Let me grab my desk dwarf, and man, it's like this dude's taking his toddler out to the Star Trek convention. I love it though. Now, these came with a ton of accessories, interchangeable hands and weapons. Here is one of the hands holding the Klingon gun for that time period. And the hands are fairly interchangeable. I'll show you in just a minute. Here's the other hand holding the knife. And even though we never saw it in the episode, it did come with a batleth. I think we saw one technically hanging on the wall in the background. But you see that pops out. And there you go. They're still actually pretty good. Now, like with all of the Art Asylum figures, they usually used a piece of rubber somewhere, and on his, it's this lower part of the shirt area on the front and back, and of course the hair is also this softer material, which does make it where you can pose him really dynamically if you want. That is one thing that's really cool about this one. You can really, get it action posed if you wanted. So, that, I'm going to put the hand back on there real quick. There we go. We'll move him to the side over here and bring in Silic, the Suliban. These were really the main villains of season 1 of Enterprise. The Suliban was, and Silic was one of the main characters, the main representatives that was always dealing with the Enterprise. And he was played by John Fleck, who was not a stranger to Star Trek. He had been in a couple episodes of Deep Space Nine, as well as Next Gen. He had played a Romulan, and he was in an episode of Voyager as well, I think. But this character, I think, was probably one of his favorites. I've seen an interview that he did talking about it, and it just, even though he had to wear a lot of makeup for it, it was just a lot of fun. The sculpt is really good, but man, it's got a lot of details that this camera is not going to be able to pick up. The skin is very sort of amphibian, somewhere between like a lizard type kind of thing. Now, one thing you've probably already noticed is that there's no bend in the leg, but there is a weird separation. So that's because the rubber part that they used on here, and they did a similar thing with the main figures, which if you want to see the main figures, go over to my buddies Keith and Mike's channel. They've been looking at a couple of them. I know they did Mayweather, and you can see kind of how it works. This one is a similar thing. The legs they put inside this rubber piece, which, after 22 years, has started to separate here and up here. But that's how the legs work on these. And it's, like I said, it was a similar thing with the main crew figures. You've probably also noticed that the arms don't have that. This is the actual, like, real failure of this particular figure. They wanted the arms to have the rubberiness that the figure had, that the character has on the show. So they made everything from here to the wrist of that same rubber stuff. I don't know if they intended it to be kind of like those bendy figures, where you can bend the arms and the legs into all kinds of shapes and it holds. But this does not hold. It only holds in the one position. They will not go in any other position. They are stuck like that. Which kind of sucks, because it means that you're limited with what you can do with the arms. Which is really funny, because he comes with not just those two hands holding the guns. He comes with 4 extra hands. He's got punching hands, got fist, which can't really put him in a fist pose. He's got this hand, which would be good for holding like a knife or a gun or something like that, whatever. And then he's got this open palm, so it's like he could sort of type on a computer type of thing. This is probably, as far as the articulation goes, my least favorite of these figures, because of what they did with his arms. That was just a bad choice. But otherwise, everything about it is really fantastic. I do love the guns that it came with, which were actually just a reuse of the Maquis guns from Deep Space Nine and Voyager. So, gonna move him to the side, and we will bring in the last figure for this video, which is our friend Shran. Shran was the Andorian. He was never really a bad guy in Enterprise. If you haven't watched Enterprise, he was a little bit of an antagonist at the beginning, but kind of became what's the right term? A anti-hero help for the crew. Eventually sort of became a good guy. Apparently there was a plan that in season 5 he was actually going to join the crew as a regular crewman on the show on Enterprise. So there, got that open. He was played by Jeffrey Combs, which, if you know your Star Trek history, especially Deep Space Nine, you know that Jeffrey Combs is known for playing every other character on the show. He has appeared or done voices for almost every show. He's awesome actor, awesome characters. So let me get that out of the way. Set that there. Now, just looking at it, apparently Shran does not come with very many, if at all, options. One quick thing, this little coin, that was something that came with all the figures, was this little coin. It even came, I didn't mention that in the Nemesis video, that even the Star Trek Nemesis figures came with an Art Asylum coin. I don't know why they thought that that was going to be the thing to do. I'm undoing the twist ties in case you're wondering. They thought that fans would absolutely love the idea of coins. Maybe it came out of the Pogs era, which I've done a video about the Pogs. I think I might have actually had a couple of the Enterprise coins that I stuck in with my Pogs. I don't remember. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna pause for just a second. Okay, got all the twist ties off. I was just like, I'm not gonna keep talking and doing this. So here we go. And real quick, just for everybody at home who likes to see, that's just all those pictures of the figures and stuff. I might pull that off here in a second. Here is the back of the box. See, there's the Nausicaan captain that I don't have. We do have, in an upcoming video, we'll have T'Pol and Tucker in their space suits, as well as Dr. Phlox in his space suit. I've got that. It's actually signed by John Billingsley. I don't give a crap about signed shit. So here we go. This is actually the first time I've ever... Oh, interesting. So, first thing I am noticing, the legs on Shran are the Y legs, kind of like the Playmates figures. See, it pivots, which means for him, in order for him to sit, he's got to be like this, which if you're a fan of the Playmates figures, you are all too familiar with the thigh gap sit. Oh man, why did they do that? Why? Oh, such a weird toy line. Oh man. So anyways, let's... Like I said, first time. The face sculpt, it's mostly pretty good, but I'm not sure it actually looks like Jeffrey Combs. Just being honest. It's a good sculpt of an Andorian, but yeah. I'm just, the thigh thing, the legs, I'm seriously disappointed by. Everything else is so good. The sculpt is fantastic. A little disappointing he doesn't come with any... Oh, this one, he doesn't have... Oh. Okay. So the fact that this is a second line of the figures, and they didn't do the work on the thighs, on the hips. And then I notice this arm has the swivel, but this one does not. Meaning I can put his shoulders down, that arm can move out, that one can't. It means that apparently even by the time they got to the second wave of figures, they were skimping. Oh, now I know why the company had to change their name. Well, and see, this is the other thing that's kind of disappointing, is that as much accessories that the first two figures had, that came with Wave 1, and all he gets is a gun, is actually kind of disappointing. Well, that's okay. We oh, I didn't measure Shran. Real quick. Silic, move to the side. Let me switch back over. He is just a hair under 7 inches. That sounds about right. I got so disappointed by his minimalistic changes that they did that I forgot to measure him. So anyways, we have looked at the aliens that I have as part of the Star Trek Enterprise Waves 1 and 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me what you think about the figures. Am I right to be disappointed with Shran? Especially when compared to Klang and how great that figure is despite his action hair. Honestly, it's the one thing that's kind of a funny thing that I have one complaint about him, 2 complaints if you consider both arms about him, and then just, oh man, y'all screwed up. It's okay. We'll get through it. We'll be strong. I'll see you next time. Go out and make something. If you enjoy my videos and want to see more, please like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell icon. If you want to support me, you can find me on Patreon or go over to Zazzle for prints of my artwork, t-shirts, and other cool stuff. If you're still here, why? Do you want to jam out?